Hello and welcome to a very early morning bus in Belfast, specifically the 96 metro service from the city centre to the Stena Line terminal for Liverpool. The name of the route is a bit misleading because it actually goes to Birkenhead on the other side of the River Mersey. Once we've been dumped onto solid scouse ground, we'll be burrowing deep into the Earth's crust to reach the platforms of Merseyrail's underground railway to reach Liverpool. Arriving slightly too early for the 8 AM check-in, there isn't much to do except practice pacing back and forth. After getting through security, we have the waiting room all to ourselves. There is a little cafe at the side of the room, which I imagine is useful if you left home in a hurry. Stena Line has two almost identical ships for the Belfast to Liverpool route, the Stena Edda and the Stena Embla. Our journey today will be aboard the Stena Embla, and there it sits, waiting for us to board at some point after 9:30 for the 10:30 departure. Eventually, foot passengers are loaded onto a shuttle bus and taken to the ship. The Belfast to Cairnryan, Scotland service instead has a walkway that leads straight from the terminal to the ferry. It'd be nice if that was the case here, but it would need to be a hell of a long walkway.
Yeah, that's how I was saying that Polish value shows how low the dog hanging, even lower, you see, just above the water, literally. So that means that this is all open. There is a rabasil.
The first stop on board is of course the toilets, which I know is weird to record in, but I made absolutely sure nobody else was around. The second most important place to go is the top deck in order to watch the departure, because, quite frankly, if you're content to sit inside during it without good reason, it throws into question the quantity of lead in your plumbing. Before setting off, this big beast needs to rotate 180 degrees. In the background you can see the iconic yellow cranes, Samson and Goliath, of the Harland and Wolff shipyard. I've always thought ships of that shape look like a child's crappy Lego creation. The Stena Superfast 7 is one that goes between here and Scotland. The walkway I mentioned before is visible. Right on cue, the choir of car alarms commences. The city fades into the distance as we gradually make our way out of Belfast Lough, just about passing Helen's Bay. While sailing along here, we are flanked in the south by County Down and in the north by County Antrim. The Copeland Islands are the final bits of Ireland we pass before entering open sea. The Sky Bar isn't a place for me, but it's there for anyone who wants a wee sip to preliminarily numb the pain of regret before hitting the gambling machines around the corner, or to do a bit of drink driving on a virtual motorbike. Dipping into the future for a moment, during the return crossing, the staff gave me and others complimentary access to the fancy Hugo Lounge. This has improved seating, as well as free tea and coffee. Unfortunately, the code for the door didn't work, and I didn't want to bother them over something I was offered for free, so I settled in the living room area outside it, which is still very nice. Down one end of Deck 7 is the restaurant, selling cooked meals at prices you'd expect when trapped in a big steel box with nowhere else to go. The coffee, on the other hand, is cheaper than in my local cafe, and you're entitled to half-price refills. No luck with the Wi-Fi. A good portion of the journey from here on is spent by me eavesdropping on another passenger unsuccessfully troubleshooting the internet connection with Stena Line employees. Plenty of time to fill in half a puzzle, get stuck, give up, and move on to the next one. Our first glimpse of another land isn't Britain, but the Isle of Man's shores. Sometimes the route takes us around the north of this crown dependency, and sometimes, in this case, around the south. I don't know how or why the decision is made, possibly based on weather, possibly based on current traffic flows, no idea. You don't realise how unsteady you can be on a ship until you try walking down a long straight corridor. This area is where all the cabins are, which definitely see more use during the nighttime crossings. In the middle of Deck 7 is the onboard shop, selling Pringles at prices you'd expect when trapped in a big steel box with nowhere else to go. The best thing about travelling by ferry is finding a nice cosy corner to create your nest, and you will defend your right to this claimed territory for the whole journey. You may even find yourself biting another passenger who approaches it while you are at the toilet. The Burbo Bank offshore wind farm greets us on the approach to Britain. The closer we get to Liverpool, the more the water shifts from a solid blue to a more fecal tone. Nearing our destination, the Kraken can be heard violently beating at the ship's hull beneath the waves. Darkness descends quickly as we seal the final stretch through the River Mersey. Once docked, foot passengers are instructed to wait until guided onto a shuttle bus, which then reverses quite unsettlingly out of the ship with the black void of the river looming ominously below.
Someone will cross over into
And here we are on wet, dry land. And here's a massive compensator pickup truck that's too big for our European roads and parking spaces, blocking the pedestrian footpath with its unnecessarily fat rear. There is a free bus ride that takes passengers to Hamilton Square Station, but I like the walk, even in the dark and rain.
Door closing. Platform. Door opening. Door opening. Door closing.
After getting off at Moorfields, the long climb back to the surface begins. In Britain for less than an hour, and I'm already sick of hearing "see it, say it, sorted." But here we are, finally on the streets of Liverpool, roughly 11 hours after checking in at the Belfast terminal.
Can't see.
I've done that crossing quite a few times now, and I always find it enjoyable. Sailing along on the sea for 8 hours is a fun way to travel. As for the cost, I paid £36 as a foot passenger without a cabin. Though checking the website now, it seems to have gone up a couple of quid. Taking a plane is obviously much quicker and cheaper, but I reckon it robs some of the adventure feeling. Plus I find airports scary and confusing. But I'll let you go now. See ya.